So this is just a real simple way for me to show you why I don't like this plastic jug test. Same broadhead, same arrow. We're going through 6, and you can see this has a pass-through, pass-through, pass-through. This third jug has a complete pass-through, hasn't lost anything. But where the fletching allows the plastic to disperse, where the arrow shaft allows the plastic to be moved from the side a little bit, you can see we've lost a lot of liquid there. And this just goes to show that when you're dealing with plastic, a hole that wants to close back up, that this is just not a very good test for bleed out for broadheads. So this is the time of year where all the new stuff is going to start coming out as far as archery equipment as a whole. But we're going to see a lot of new broadheads dropping here. The Archery Trade Association's about ready to start. It's January. And as those broadheads start to be released, you're going to see all of the broadhead testing start coming together on people's YouTube channels and other social media outlets. And one of the popular tests that you're going to see is the gallon jug bleed out test, or hemorrhage test, or however they want to call it. And I hate this test. I'm going to tell you why I hate this test. Now, I will admit, this is a fun test. You know, it's dramatic. There may be some certain dynamics that you can get from it, but the problem that I have with this test is some people, YouTubers especially, they are putting together now really great broadhead tests. They're trying to, make it so it's as fair as possible. They have all these great penetration tests, and they're weighing things, and they're really going above and beyond to create a great test. And then they put this test in the mix, and to me, this test takes away from all the hard work that they've done. This metric, to me, is fairly useless. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm going to give you some reasons why I'm not a big fan of this test. The first reason is there is nothing about this that indicates inside a whitetail. There is no giant pool of blood. There is no container, if you will, of blood that is waiting to be punctured inside any animal. Of course, the blood is under pressure. It's moving, it's flowing. You want to hit something vascular. You want to hit that heart. You want to cause hemorrhage. And the idea of this test is supposedly it's going to show you the kind of hole you're going to get inside and out, and how blood is then, once it does pull in your animal, going to fall out. Plastic does not behave anything like animal hide, especially when you're talking about whitetail. Think of yourself. If you get a cut or a puncture wound, what's the first thing that happens with that cut? It splits open, right? Your skin is under tension. Animal skin is under tension. Plastic, once it's cut, is not under tension. So what happens when you shoot this jug? This is perfectly shot 4-blade broadhead in this jug. What do you notice? There's no hole because the plastic wants to come back to its original position. So how can you really get a great metric out of this when you're dealing with plastic that wants to come back to exactly where it was on both sides? So inherently, you can't really get a good determination of how fast an animal is really going to bleed out based on broadhead damage in plastic. In fact, sometimes this test looks really good if you take a broadhead that's nicked up, rusted up, because it rips a giant hole in the jug and creates where the plastic can't close. These jug tests will always favor broadheads that core, that actually remove plastic. So if you are testing a broadhead that has a circle pattern to it, or in some way actually removes the plastic, it's going to win this test every single time, hands down, because there's no plastic to come back in and seal the hole. And you'll see some people are going to do this test with the lid on the jug. That creates a vacuum. The water drains out a lot slower, and the jug is actually going to try to breathe. It's going to keep closing in on itself, sucking air. And some people feel that that's really indicative of how an animal is going to work, but it's not. It is not the same thing at all. a slightly good representative? No, it's just a visual. If you take this cap off and shoot this jug and air's allowed in, the jug, of course, drains really fast and it's ultra dynamic. So you'll see some testing where the lid is off and you see a set of broadheads get shot through it and you're like, wow, that was like 2 seconds and it drained out, and you're very excited about that broadhead when really it doesn't mean all that much. And this test is really easily manipulated as well. So you may have a tester that's partial to a broadhead. He has the lid on all the jugs, but in the back of the jug of the broadhead he really wants to test, there's a pinhole back here or a hole that you can't see, so air goes in. And you can always tell those tests because the other jugs are breathing to suck air, and that jug just drains really fast. And again, it's ultra dramatic and it's super exciting, but it's really not that great of a metric. So if you are into the jug bleed out test, that's fine. They're fun. We've done them. Just be very cautious. Every plastic is different. The water temperature inside here will affect the plastic, whether it's hot or cold. The plastic itself, if it's hot or cold, will affect how the molecules break and cut and split and sometimes just tear. So your exit holes and your entrance holes are going to be such a wide array of different types of holes based on the type of jug, the type of plastic, the temperature outside, the temperature in the jug. Does it have a lid? Does it not have a lid? Is there a pinhole in the back? So you get the point why I don't like this test. So take it with a little grain of salt when you see this test. If it's a big metric in a really good array of testing that you're looking at, maybe you want to bump this out of that metric before you make an important broadhead decision.